Good morning and welcome back to day 3 of the Virtual Investor 2023 Companies to Watch Conference. My name is Janine Thomas. I am CEO of JTC IR. We have a great lineup today, and I know Cyclo Therapeutics will not disappoint. I have with me our next presenter, Scott Fine, CEO of Cyclo Therapeutics. Welcome back, Scott.
Hi, Janine. Thank you very much for having us.
Absolutely. So we're ready for you to take it away.
Great. Could we go to the next slide, please? Everyone, please take a quick look at our forward-looking statements. Next slide, please. So I think many of you who have been paying attention to us know that we are working with a beta-cyclodextrin going after 2 diseases. One, Alzheimer's, which we're all familiar with. Don't need to spend a lot of time there to describe the disease and the size of the market, et cetera. Our nearest opportunity, and where we're dedicating the majority of our time and capital, is in Niemann-Pick type C, which is a ultra rare disease, 1 in 100,000 live births. This disease is an effect of non-processing of cholesterol by the body, the MPC1 protein, and I'll show you later in a diagram how this works and the mechanism of action of our disease of our drug. But that is the opportunity we're going after right now, and we are aggressively recruiting a phase 3 transport MPC pivotal program right now to enroll this trial, and we anticipate having it fully enrolled by the end of this year. Next slide, please. As I'd said, we're going after 2 disease indications right now with 2 clinical programs. We have a late-stage asset with phase 3 for MPC, Niemann-Pick type C, in our transport MPC program. And we've just recently dosed our first patient in our phase 2 program for Alzheimer's disease, which we're also quite excited about. We have orphan drug designation in the US and in Europe. We have fast track status in the US. We do qualify for a priority review voucher, which many of you know has a value potentially of $100 million, and we will qualify for it upon market registration, if the instrument is still available, by the way, at that point in time. We hope it will be. We have orphan drug designation in the EU, and our pediatric investigational plan was also adopted, which gave us an additional 2 years of exclusivity under the orphan drug plan in Europe. Please go to the next slide. I really want to spend a little bit of time on this slide. Our management team is an extremely seasoned pharmaceutical development team. Josh Fine spent several years at Icogen, which was acquired by Ligand, a very experienced CFO. Lisa Kim's joined us from Albireo, where she was a very senior individual in their medical group, leading several clinical programs. She's been at Novartis. Mike Lishak, our global head of regulatory, was at Pfizer. He left Sanofi Genzyme. And I'll point to one of the comments Mike made when I interviewed him. I asked him, Mike, why would you leave Sanofi and join a small company like ours? And he said, Scott, I really like the molecule. I like Trappsol, Cyclo. I like the way the interaction, the mechanism of action, and the way it interacts with cholesterol. I think there's a great opportunity here for the patient population, not only for Niemann-Pick type C, but for other indications as well. Lori McKenna-Gorski, also out of Sanofi Genzyme, leads our patient advocacy group. Again, very senior individual who has been at other large pharma biotech companies as well. And Jeff Tate, who runs our manufacturing, is our longest standing employee at this point in time, has a long history of manufacturing and has done a really great job in managing our production of our product, not only for our clinical programs, but as we prepare to roll out our clinical, our launch of our drug once we get it approved. Please go to the next slide. Our SAB is a blue chip group of people. I only want to point out to Caroline Hastings. Caroline is the individual who originally got the orphan drug designation in the United States, which she transferred to us for no compensation whatsoever, only a promise from us that we would move the clinical program forward, which, as you guys know, we are. Caroline is also our global PI for the phase 3 pivotal transport MPC program. And she also was the sole PI for our phase 1 program, which I'll discuss in a minute. Please go to the next slide. Niemann-Pick type C in our phase 3 study. Thank you. Niemann-Pick type C is an ultra rare disease. It's fatal. It's very progressive genetic disorder affecting the brain, liver, spleen, and lungs. It's a defect in the MPC1 protein. Effectively, our bodies process cholesterol through every one of our cells. When you have Niemann-Pick type C, your body cannot process the cholesterol. The cholesterol literally gets stuck within organs and in cells and causes great debilitation and leads to death. There are 0 US approved therapies in the United States, and there's only one therapy approved in Europe, miglustat. However, that has several side effects on GI effects at this point in time, and it is used off-label in the United States. The market opportunity in the US is 300 million. We anticipate, and worldwide, we believe it's 600 million. However, that does not include markets such as China, Indonesia, and other areas of the world, India as well. These are the mature markets, but in any event, it's a large market opportunity. As I'd said, it's a small patient population, 1 in 100,000 live births. So if you will, 35 new patients per year in the United States. And you can see the median survival rates as people are diagnosed. And one of the things I do want to point out is that we are seeing later onset of the disease. And we actually had 3 people in our clinical programs who were in their 60s. So we actually think that the size of the patient population is larger. But as we pointed out, a $300 to $600 million market for us with a drug that has 90% gross margins is a great opportunity. Next slide, please. We want to point out to you the difficulty in diagnosing this disease. And there are several individuals that get involved: neurologists, geneticists, gastroenterologists, etc. Go to the next slide, please. And you can see the list of people that get involved in diagnosing this disease. Generally, from the first symptom of this disease to diagnosis, it's almost 2 years. And there are several individuals and professionals in the medical field that play a role in diagnosing this disease. It is not an easy disease to diagnose, and it's missed by many professionals as they see patients in the first instance. Next slide, please. This is an important slide because it talks to the mechanism of action. If you look at the slide to the left up top, normal condition, cholesterol enters the cell, the MPC1 protein shuttles the cholesterol through the cell, let it do its work, and then puts it back into the system for normal processing. With MPC1 disease, you can see that the cholesterol gets stuck in the cells and it chokes the cells and causes the debilitating effects of Niemann-Pick type C. If you look at the treatment, our drug, Trappsol Cyclo, mimics the MPC1 protein, shuttling the cholesterol through the cell and into the system so it can be normally processed. The slides below are very telling. These are from our phase 1 clinical program that Caroline Hastings led. And one of the requirements was liver biopsies. And these were not cherry-picked. Every patient in the trial was and did get a liver biopsy. And if you look at the baseline, you can see that the cells are chock full of cholesterol. That's the white chalkiness. If you look after 14 weeks, you can see that our drug did what the cartoon above showed, was that it shuttled out the cholesterol and cleared the cholesterol through the cells. This is very compelling, and basically this is really the true proof of concept of what we've done and what we've developed. And not only what we've seen through the clinical programs, but also what we've seen through the compassionate programs with the use of this drug for the last almost 20 years through these compassionate use programs that have been established. And again, the first one being utilized by Caroline Hastings, Dr. Hastings. Next slide, please. We've completed 2 programs which led to our Transport MPC. The study 101 was the US trial. It was 18 years and older. It was a total of 14 weeks. It was a safety trial, but we did see efficacy. And as I said in this previous slide, we did have liver biopsies, which did show that we were clearing cholesterol from cells. The 201 study was a 48-week study. Patients were as young as 2 years old. 8 of the 9 patients who completed the study experienced clinically meaningful improvements in 1 or more of the efficacy endpoints asserted by the 17-domain MPC severity score. We then determined what our dose was going to be for our Transport MPC through these programs, and we picked up 2,000 milligrams per kilogram body weight for the dose. Next slide, please. This is an outline of our Transport NPC phase 3 program, which we've recently informed the markets that we are over 35% enrolled. And that enrollment is aggressively happening now and picking up momentum, if you will. As I said, we anticipate full enrollment before the end of the year. We do and did structure this trial to have an interim analysis at 48 weeks. And we did this in conjunction with the FDA and the EMA, whereas we would look at the data based upon the historical data. We are hoping that the trial will be powered strong enough that at 48 weeks, when we do the interim analysis, we'll be able to stop the trial and go for market registration. And based upon the history of the use of the drug, inclusive of our phase 2 study that was completed in Europe, we're hopeful that we'll be able to complete this so we can get this drug into the marketplace and treat all of the patients, not only in the trial, because a third of them will be on placebo, but get the drug into the marketplace so we can treat this patient population as well. This is very important because we then will, this interim analysis, we anticipate happening sometime in the second half of next year once we get to the 48-week period. Next slide, please. This is a competitive landscape slide. The only thing I really want to point out, because I've done this multiple times before, as we all know, there have been several failures already, unfortunately, where companies have gotten complete response letters. But one of the key factors with respect to our treatment through intravenous route of administration is we treat this disease systemically and neurologically. We believe that this is a disease of the entire body, not just the brain. And our drug does treat the entire body through an IV route of administration. Next slide, please. Our Alzheimer's program, please. And again, I want to stress to this audience, 90% of our focus right now is on our NPC program because of the aggressiveness and the rapidity of our enrollment right now and getting that to the finish line. And I want to be very clear, we are very patient-driven and caring. So 90% of our feelings as a company are, if we drive this to help the patients, our shareholders will benefit because they'll have the benefit of a successful drug in the marketplace. But we really want to get this drug into the marketplace to benefit the patients and to treat these patients. A lot of similarities between NPC and Alzheimer's: cognitive decline, elevated levels of tau, amyloid plaques. We know the size of the market. Everyone knows. I don't need to inform you guys about that. So it's a large market, and we're excited about this opportunity. Next slide, please. As I said, a lot of commonality between the diseases, the disease manifestations: cognitive decline, premature death, weight loss. A lot of similarities that you can see with respect to NPC and Alzheimer's disease. Next slide, please. We did have a compassionate use of our drug with one patient. We've talked about this multiple times before. This patient stayed on our drug for 18 months. And based upon the mini mental state evaluation, not only did this patient stabilize, but the patient actually improved. And the family and the physician reported less volatility and greater word finding ability. And this data, along with animal data, is the material we use to go to the FDA and enabled us to, on our first pass, to get the FDA to agree to allow us to stand up a phase 2 clinical program. We also like to talk about Dr. Cynthia Lemire, whose lab is at Harvard. She's one of the leading research scientists in Alzheimer's and dementia. And she's giving us great guidance as we look to build out this program. And we talk to partners about the program as well. Next slide, please. Here, the trial design, it's 120 patients. It's 6 months. As I said, we've just dosed our first patient. So we're moving this trial forward as we speak. And we're quite excited about what we hope the outcome will be to get us to lead to a phase 3 program for this program at some point in the future. Next slide, please. Quick corporate overview. As of our last filing, we had $8 million in cash. We just raised $4.2 million as a subsequent event on January and closed on January 3rd. Our market cap's around $20 million. We have approximately 11 million shares outstanding, and our volume has increased recently. And just so I can answer this question in advance, yes, we will be raising more capital as we continue to build out this program and build and drive our Transport NPC and the Alzheimer's program forward. And we are looking at several different opportunities, some non-dilutive. We are actively in discussions with partners at this point in time. And because of where we are with our phase 3 transport NPC program on an enrollment basis, we are beginning to get the attention of several potential partners, not only in Europe, but also in the United States. I need to say there's no assurance we'll get one of those partners, but we are beginning to get the attention, and the data is driving those discussions because of the strength of not only our phase 1 program, but our phase 2 program as well, with respect to where we believe we're going to be able to clinically benefit patients with the treatment for NPC with our drug. Next slide, please. So, investment highlights. We're rapidly enrolling our phase 3 pivotal program. We have orphan drug designation. We've got a pipeline where we have an Alzheimer's program that we believe can bring significant value in treatment for the patient population. We think we got to have a drug that will get approved with Trappsol Cyclo for the treatment of Niemann-Pick type C. Unfortunately, the landscape is littered with failures at this point. This patient population is desperate for a treatment. We hope we can bring that treatment, which will become standard of care for the patient population for NPC. We've got a senior leadership management team that has already been and has a track record of execution and creation of value for shareholders. And we believe that we're going to be able to deliver that for all of our stakeholders as we move the company forward. Next slide, please.
Scott,
thank you.
Great presentation. Appreciate you joining us today. As you know, it is the 2023 Companies to Watch conference. And what I would like to do is just ask you for our audience so they can hear from your own words why you believe Cyclo Therapeutics is a company to watch in 2023.
That's a great question. You know, we've dedicated years in supporting this company. When we first took a look at Cyclo Therapeutics, which was then called CTD Holdings, we saw the use of Trappsol Cyclo through compassionate use programs, and we're very compelled as a management team, as well as our board of directors, which I'd urge everyone to look at who we have on our board. We have a former president of Colgate-Palmolive. We have the CEO of Pol Pharma, which is a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company based in Warsaw, Poland. You know, so we've got very senior big box people who are involved with our company. But to your point, Janine, we believe we have a drug that will get approved for the treatment of Niemann-Pick type C through our IV route of administration. And all of us are parents or grandparents on our team. We care about our patient population, and we believe that this will drive a treatment modality that will enhance and extend the quality of life for the patients that are suffering from this very terrible, debilitating disease. I mean, guys, your child is normal. Next thing you know, your child can't speak, your child stumbles. The next thing you know, your child can't eat, your child can't swallow, your child's in a wheelchair. It is a slow death and a very debilitating death. And what really drives us as a team is the fact that if we can bring this drug to over the finish line, which we anticipate we will, it will really enhance the quality of life for these patients. But it already has shown in animal models as well and in human models, if you will, the extension of life and a better quality of life. That's what drives us, Janine.
Well, I can certainly tell, and I know that part of your mission and vision is to bring hope to patients, and you can tell that you and your team are living that every day, making great progress, doing great work for these patient communities. Congratulations on all of your progress so far. You certainly have given this conference, the 2023 Companies to Watch, a great story. So to Scott, thank you so much for your time today. Great presentation to our audience. We have a great lineup today. As I said, Cyclo Therapeutics did not disappoint, so we appreciate this presentation. And if you look at our website for the rest of the roster for today, it is the final day of our conference. It's virtualinvestorco.com, and you can see other presentations and webcast replays throughout the day. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you, Janine. Thanks for everyone for watching. Appreciate it.